Hi friends, after a long gap, we are gathering here to do a discussion part on Gpat, that is basics on pharmaceutics. Hope you all get registered in the Gpat courses and by the 30th January. Hope you have submitted all the details correct and now the correction window is open. Hope you are do well. So all the very best, prepare well and crack Gpat. So let's wait. Today we can discuss on the basics of pharmaceutics. The main thing for preparing Gpat is that we want to know the basics that are needed to crack Gpat. So all the very best. First of all, we are discussing on the topic microencapsulation. Here we have to give more importance to the application part coming under microencapsulation. So, what is microencapsulation? It is the method of applying a thin film or coating to the small particles of solid or droplets of liquid or suspensions. So, we are applying a thin film. So, the main ingredient or active constituent is core material. So, around our core material, we are trying to make a thin film or coating. That is simply the microencapsulation. So, what are the methods for coating this microparticles? So, the various processes are air suspension, co-adsorption phase separation, multi-orifice centrifugation, pan coating, solvent preparation, and finally the spray drying and spray gun sealing. So here we want to know for which process we have to go for solids and liquids and which methods are suitable for solids. For solids, we are most preferring the air suspension as well as pan coating methods. Other methods are so suitable for both solids and liquids. And we want to know the approximate particle size, that is in micron, for each method. So the smallest one, that is the multi-orifice centrifugation, having the size range from 1 to 5000 micron, whereas in co-adsorption it is then 2 to 5000, whereas in solvent evaporation 5 to 5000, and in between the spray drying and congealing include the micron size 600 microns. Except spray drying, other size range end with 5000 micron. It is the largest range is 5000 micron. And telling about the air suspension method, it is 35 to 5000, whereas for pan coating, it is 600 to 5000 micron is the approximate particle size of the produced microencapsule. Next, we are discussing about the subject suspension. As we know, the suspension is a biphasic liquid dosage form. Here, the particles remain suspended in the vehicle. For that, we are using or we are making the help of a suspending agent. Please note, the settling in suspension is based on Stokes' law. Next up we want to know is the sedimentation velocity. So sedimentation velocity of suspended particle can be explained with the help of an equation, that is V is equal to d2 into ρ1 minus ρ0 into g by 18 eta, whereas d is the diameter of the particle, ρ1 is the density of particle, ρ0 is the density of liquid, whereas eta is the viscosity of liquid. So now this equation, because we want to correlate the things if we asked a indirect question from this part. And now that this equation used only for dilute suspension, that is the suspension having less than 2% dispersed particle. In case of for preparing for the Gpat exam, the important thing is that we want to know the concepts clear. After that, to crack Gpat is very easy. So next term we want to know is sedimentation volume. That is, F is the ultimate volume of sediment divided by total volume of suspension. And based on the sedimentation volume value, we can tell what type of the suspension is. If the value lies between 1 or less than 1, or if the value is above 1 due to the formation of flux. If the sedimentation volume, that is F is equal to 1, means here no sedimentation takes place. Where if the value of F is equal to 0 means complete instability. So by utilizing the F value, we can tell about the stability of the product. How it's clear. Next thing is that we know the particle size concept is very important. If the particle size gets increased, the surface free energy will also increases. So, if the particle size gets increased, obviously the system becomes unstable. To avoid this, in such suspension, we are adding wetting or suspending agent to the formulation, which will help to reduce the interfacial tension and make the product stable. Next factor that affects the suspension is the zeta potential. That is, if the zeta potential gets increased, there is a chance of increasing repulsive force compared to attraction force. As a result, if the zeta potential increases, that may result in the formation of a deflocculated suspension. And next concept is that if we are adding a oppositely charged electrolyte to the formulation of suspension, that may result in the formulation of aggregate or flux. So, the addition of oppositely charged electrolyte results in aggregate formation. And next thing is that if we are adding large amount of electrolyte, that may result in deflocculation. So, these factors should be considered in case of preparing a suspension. Next important concept is the suspension in structured vehicle. That is simply the structured vehicle which will reduce the settling rate. The basic thing is that in structured vehicle there is entrapping of particle happening in the gel, that is in the gel matrix. So if you shake the structured vehicle, that may attain a salt-like consistency. So this thixotropic behavior shown by the structured vehicle that we are using in suspension preparation. Here we want to know what are the examples of structured vehicle. The example of structured vehicle include the methyl cellulose, carboxymethyl cellulose, sodium carboxymethyl cellulose, bentonite and beta. Now this. Next we are moving to a next topic, that is suppositories. What are suppositories? Suppository is a medicated semi-solid dosage form that they are intended for administration in the body cavity other than oral cavity. These are the different types of suppository like butter suppository, vaginal suppositories, nasal bougies and ear cones. The vaginal suppositories are otherwise known as pessitories, and there are two bougies concept coming under suppository classification, that is bougies are available as urethral bougies and nasal bougies. Next concept we want to know is what are the types of suppository base available. Based on that, we are classifying into oleaginous or fatty bases, aqueous base and emulsifying bases. Among this, we want to know what are the examples for each classification and key importance for the cocoa butter. First classification, that is on oleaginous or fatty bases. Examples are cocoa butter or theobroma oil. And second example is synthetic triglyceride mixture. This cocoa butter is basically a triglyceride which contains the oleopalmitostyrene and oleodistyrene. And this cocoa butter melts between 30 to 35 degrees Celsius, and this cocoa butter exhibits polymorphism. That is, it forms alpha, beta, beta prime, gamma, etc. like polymorphism. And second classification is the aqueous base. Examples for the aqueous bases are, that is, water miscible bases, glycerylated gelatin, soft glycerin, macrogol or carbovax, that are examples for aqueous bases. And the third classification is the emulsifying base or water dispersible base. The examples are mesaesterinum, pitapsol, and nasipol. So, and all this example under each category. Next topic we want to give importance while preparation is the ointment. Ointment is soft semi-solid preparation applied to the skin and mucous membrane. And the ointment bases are oleaginous and hydrocarbon bases. The example natural like olive oil, almond oil, sesame oil, etc. Cottonseed oil is an plant origin, and animal origins are there, and wells and hydrocarbons are there, like microcrystalline wax, liquid paraffin, etc. And second category of ointment base is absorption base. Absorption base, as the word passes, it takes up large amount of water due to the high water number. And absorption bases are of anhydrous and hydrous type. Examples for the anhydrous include the anhydrous lanolin, otherwise known as wool fat, and hydrophilic petrolactam. Whereas the hydrous absorption base is lanolin. Lanolin means hydrous wool fat. Hydrous wool fat means it is the combination hydrous wool fat. It is the combination of 70% wool fat plus 30% purified water. Cow cream, wool alcohol ointment, etc. will contain the absorption base. And the next category of base is emulsion base. Emulsion base is either water in oil base or oil in water base. Example of water in oil base is cream, etc. will come under emulsion base. Whereas oil in water base will come under the emulsifying base, citramide, etc. will come under oil in water base. And fourth category is the water soluble base, that is the greaseless ointment base. It is high and low molecular weight polyethylene glycol will come under this water soluble base. Next we are moving into the single topic, that is syrup. Syrups are thick viscous liquid consisting primarily of sugar in water concentration, and the sugar in concentration will be 66.67% in weight. Here exists a problem of cap locking. Cap locking means a sugar saturated syrup may lead to crystallization of the sugar part because of the changes in temperature. So to avoid this cap locking problem, we are adding the polyhydric alcohol to the syrup formulation. And the preservative like parabens, benzoate, antioxidants are added. In case of simple syrup, the concentration will help to maintain the microbial attack. Next formulation is collodions. Collodions are basically fluid preparations that are used for externally. And these collodions are applied with the help of a brush or a rag. This film forming base is pyroxylin, otherwise known nitrocellulose in volatile solvent. And next formulation is linctuses. These are viscous liquid oral preparation that are prescribed for the relief of cough. Here, the vehicle used in the linctus preparation is a syrup. Sometimes we are also using glycerin. And next formulation is elixirs. These are clear, pleasantly flavored, sweetened hydroalcoholic liquid. So, what are the basic concepts here? Next important topic is emulsion. Emulsions are biphasic system consisting two immiscible liquids, one of which is finely subdivided particles which are uniformly distributed throughout the other dispersion of continuous medium. The size range of the emulsion globule is 0.1 to 100 microns. Here, this is a heterogeneous system and it is a thermodynamically unstable one. Come to the classification of emulsion, it can be classified mainly into oil in water. That is, oil in water means here water is the external phase and oil is the internal phase. And second category is water in oil emulsion. Here oil, that is in the denominator part, become the external phase. That is, oil is the external phase and water is the internal phase. And based on the globule size, the emulsion is otherwise classified into microemulsion and fine emulsion. Micro means it is a transparent one having a size less than 0.1 micron. Whereas fine emulsion means it having a milky appearance and size between 0.25 to 25 microns. And third type is multiple emulsion. That is, it is a mixture, that is oil in water and oil. That is, disperse the oil in water part into the oily phase. Water in oil in water. That is, disperse water in oil system into the aqueous phase. Next, we are going to the what are the evaluation steps or methods to determine the stability of the emulsion or detect which type of emulsion. First one is the dye solubility test. The water-soluble dyes we are using are the amaranth and methylene blue. It will form uniform timing oil in water emulsion. Whereas in case of oil-soluble dye, we are using the Sudan 3 and scarlet red. This will form a uniform color of tincture into the water-in oil emulsion. Second test is dilution test. Dilution test means when a dispersion medium is added to an emulsion, no phase separation is possible. That is, for example, if you are adding a water to the oil and water emulsion, no phase separation is seen. Likewise, if oil is added to a water and oil emulsion, no phase separation. That is, to the dispersion medium, we are adding the same, no phase separation. That means it is the same emulsion. And third one is conductivity test. That is, based on the ability of water to conduct electricity. For example, if water is the continuous phase, then simply this emulsion will conduct electricity. So we can detect is it water in oil emulsion or water emulsion. Next, based on the instability, we can classify, that is flocculation. That is, if the neighboring globules come across, that may result in flocculation. To avoid this flocculation or fluffy agglomerates, we can impart charges on the globular surfaces. Second instability problem is creaming. That is, based on the density difference and due to the concentration of the globule, we can see a top or bottom separation of the emulsion. That is, if oil in water emulsion, that will form an upward preening. Whereas in case of water in oil emulsion, that will produce downward preening. And third concept is the coalescence or compact aggregates. That is, in emulsion itself, few globules coming to fuse with each other. This small globules combined will produce the bigger globules. That is coalescence. Next problem is breaking. Breaking or otherwise known as cracking. That is the complete separation of the oil and aqueous phase in the emulsion. This is due to the destruction of the protective coating around the globules. And fifth problem is phase inversion. That is simply the emulsion type will change. That is oil water change to water and oil type. and vice versa. For example, oil in water emulsion made from a soap, that is from a monovalent soap, that may result in phase inversion. This is the best example for phase inversion. Next is a Bancroft rule. This Bancroft rule describes the relationship between the nature of the emulsifying agent and the type of emulsion formed. Simply, the added surfactant is more soluble in water. That is, the surfactant is more soluble in water, that may produce the oil in water emulsion. Or if the surfactant is more soluble in oil, that may produce water in oil emulsion. It is based on the Bancroft rule. That is, Bancroft rule gives the relationship between the nature of the emulsifying agent and the type of emulsion formed. Next term is emulgent. Emulgents are the agents which help to reduce the interfacial tension between two liquids and which help to stabilize the emulsion. For oil and water emulsion, the SLB value is 8 to 60. In case of water and oil emulsion, the SLB value is from oil and water. That is, water and oil emulsion from 0 to 8, and after 8 to 60, it moved to the oil and water emulsion type. And study the example for oil and water emulsion or emulgent, that is polysorbate or twins, SLS, acacia, Pragat can. Whereas water and oil emulsion examples are the spans, glycerol monostearate are example for water and oil emulgent. Next important concept is the preparation of emulsion. We know we can prepare the emulsion by different methods, the dry gum method, wet gum method, bottle method, etc. In dry gum method, we are mixing the oil and gum and trying to triturate them, adding water, again triturate, and we are making a primary emulsion. Whereas in wet gum method or English method, water and gum is mixing, triturate, add oil here, again triturate, and result in the primary emulsion. Whereas in bottle or pouch method, we are using volatile and non-viscous oil. Above all this, we want to know the oil is to water's gum ratio for each oil. That is, the highest is for fixed oil. The water and gum ratios are same for all type of oils. That is, the water's gum ratio is 2:1, whereas in fixed oil it is 4:2:1, mineral oil is 3:2:1, and volatile oil is 2:2:1. And now the example for fixed oil, castor oil, cod liver oil, shark liver oil, etc. And volatile oils are extracted one like turpentine oil, sandalwood oil, cinnamon, peppermint oil, and mineral oil example is paraffin oil. Next, the example for antioxidant. Alkyl galates, that is ethyl and propyl galate are example for antioxidant, and BHT, that is butyl hydroxytoluene, and BHA, that is butyl hydroxyazole, and tocopherols are example for antioxidant. And next term is Oswald ripening phenomena. Oswald ripening means it is simply the dissolution, that is the product get dissolved or go into solution form of small crystals or salt particles, and they get redeposited of the dissolved species. That is simply Oswald ripening phenomena. And this ripening phenomena is seen in water in oil emulsion. And flocculation is seen in oil in water emulsion. So Oswald ripening related to the water in oil emulsion. So go through this concept. I hope it's clear. Thank you for watching. If you are watching for the first time, please subscribe and support. Thank you for watching.